What's up, guys? Don't know if we're ready to really talk about this. And I don't know if I've had enough time to process it, but we're going to try this. We're going to be diving into Shakespeare, Sondheim, and Spielberg, all in one video. And before I get any further, here's your spoiler warning, because I'm not going to censor myself about talking about anything. So, if you have never seen West Side Story in any form that it has ever existed in, please don't watch any further, because I will not be held responsible for you being spoiled. You have been warned. I just watched the 2021 rendition of West Side Story, which is Spielberg's take on West Side Story. And, obviously it had Stephen Sondheim involved in it, and he was the lyricist for West Side Story when it initially came out. And this is not the first time that West Side Story has been made into a movie. It was first done back in the 60s. So everyone has their own opinions on how that movie did it. And based off of everything that I've read, Spielberg's take on West Side Story is going to be closer to that of Arthur Lawrence, who was the person who wrote the book for the original musical that was on Broadway. If you grew up watching the 61, I think it was early 60s, that West Side Story was adapted for the screen, this is going to be a different experience for you. It was for me, because that was what I watched. It was also very close to the renditions of West Side Story that I had seen on stage in the community theater, high school theater kind of rendition. I mean, there are certain things that I recognize because West Side Story was revived on Broadway in 2009, and there were lyric changes that were made, and it's not none of it is quote bad. It's different, and if you have memorized certain lyrics, when they make lyrical changes, it'll take a moment for your brain to adjust of oh, this is just how this song is sung now. Okay. Honestly, it was really fun just kind of watching when the Jets come on screen. You have so many theatrical actors that were specifically in the Jets were where I most recognized. I'm sure there was probably others, but there were different newsies that were on screen as Jets, which was so fun. And just the way that they handled choreography, you could tell who was theatrically trained, or at least dance trained and could adapt to the choreography versus those that couldn't. And at first it slightly bothered me, but it was a very slight, just kind of you can tell that Ansel stands out, but it's probably it has to be intentional, because Tony really should stand out, because Tony is trying to separate himself from his life as a member of the Jets. And there are a lot of story changes that kind of changed Tony's story. And I mean, I think Ansel fit the bill. Mike Feist was just primo riff. He just really brought a different life to the character of Riff. I will say it was only mildly disappointing to not see Riff lead G Officer Krupke, because that's how it was done in the 60s adaptation, movie adaptation. It was Riff leading that song, but it was nice to have another moment for other Jets to step up and shine, and it was just, it was a lot of fun. One of the things that was really cool is seeing the coloration choices that Spielberg chose for this film. And I mean, I feel it's relatively standard for the Jets to be in blues and the Sharks to be in reds and golds. So that wasn't really all that different, but the overall color palette of just all the scenes, they weren't necessarily light and airy, or they weren't necessarily really dark either. It was kind of that middle ground, but You had your vibrant colors when it was like needed, like when they sing America, that's like a moment for vibrant colors. And to an extent, the dance scene is also a moment for vibrant colors. But for the most part, everything else is kind of muted, and it was pleasing. It was very aesthetically pleasing to look at. Rachel Zegler, this was her movie debut on the silver screen. In some of the things that I read, it states that Spielberg believed her to be the best Maria he has ever seen. She is a very, very good Maria. I don't have a whole lot of Marias to compare to, but she is definitely up there in the sold the character well. Definitely tugs at your heartstrings, especially at the end when she is standing up to the Jets and the Sharks that are present when Tony is dead. Because, if you didn't know, West Side Story is Romeo and Juliet set in New York. And it's set to music. Like, that's essentially what it is, which is why I said this is Shakespeare, Sondheim, and Spielberg. That's what we're talking about today. Tony is your Romeo, and Maria is your Juliet. But it's a different outcome in the fact that, Romeo and Juliet are both not dead. It's just Romeo that died. But, the music was beautiful. Sondheim's lyrics are great. Spielberg's direction was fantastic. There were different opportunities for different characters to step up instead of it always being like certain characters. The song Cool was another one that felt different, but it wasn't a bad different. And that was honestly probably that was the moment that like really highlighted the fact that Ansel is not trained the same as all of these other theater boys that were on the screen. But at the same time, it's not necessarily a bad thing because he was trying to separate himself from his life. So from like the life that the Jets have. So, it works out in the end. It just looks a little funny sometimes. But they had Tony singing Cool. And I've never seen that be a thing. Because they also had that song happen before the Rumble. In the version from the 60s, Cool happens after the Rumble has happened. This is after Riff is dead. So in a way, it's another opportunity for another character to step up. I don't remember which one it is. But it's that like establishment of here's the new like lead Jet, if you will. They turned it in this adaptation to an opportunity of Tony trying to talk Riff out of doing the Rumble before they even go for the Rumble. And so, again, it was a different experience, and it wasn't a bad experience. I'm still processing how I feel about that, but I think those are like my main thoughts as I had the 30-minute car ride home to process through. Overall, I did enjoy it. Yeah, I think it's worth seeing, and it was just great to have the three like major S's, Spielberg, Sondheim, and Shakespeare, all in one movie. Because that's honestly the reason why I went to see it, because it was a Spielberg film, it was Sondheim lyrics, and it's Shakespeare. Didn't actually necessarily really dig into the cast list before I walked in, so it was a nice, pleasant thing. So that's it for me. If you like this video, please like, comment, and share, and I will see you next video. Bye.
Don't